Jurassic World Rebirth, the 7th Jurassic Park movie. I can't believe we're still making these things, but I mean, hey, it's Hollywood. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brandon, aka the BrandoCritic, and today I'm gonna give you my honest thoughts on the new Jurassic World Rebirth. I was able to see it a few days early, and I'm here to give you my honest thoughts so that you can decide whether or not it's gonna be right for you. But if you have seen the movie, I'd love to know your thoughts down below. Now, Jurassic World Rebirth is a movie that I was actually looking forward to, believe it or not, because I was excited to see Gareth Edwards' take on it. However, this movie is extremely frustrating. Not because it's a terrible movie by any means, it's because I can see a great movie in here. And unfortunately, this falls into the what could have been great pile. It had every opportunity to be a really special, well-made, well-put-together movie, but it kept getting in its own way. So let's talk about the good, and then we'll talk about the problems. And it's a mixed bag, it's a shame to say. So first of all, the reason why I was excited for this movie was, like I said, Gareth Edwards was behind the camera. And why I thought that would be a really great choice for Jurassic Park was because he is able to create this look that I think would really work for this franchise. He, of course, has been in Star Wars with Rogue One, and he's able to create that retro old tech look. And he's also really good at directing action sequences, and he's really good at scale. Of course, he's directed Godzilla. You really do feel how big he is. Of course, he's making a movie about the Death Star, so you feel how big that is. From a purely directional standpoint, he does a great job with Jurassic World Rebirth. This is one of the best looking Jurassic Park movies I've ever seen. I still would put the original up there. I mean, it's a classic, right? I mean, you can kind of see the poster over there. But this movie, just from a packaging standpoint, like how shiny and pretty it is, it looks great. And like I alluded to before, the action sequences, anytime there's a really thrilling moment with a dinosaur, this movie is firing on all cylinders. Like you see it in the trailer, there's a scene where all of our characters are on a boat, and it feels kind of reminiscent of Avatar: The Way of Water, where there's this really big dinosaur in the water and they're trying to fight it. It's extremely thrilling and gripping and exciting, and I was like, this movie is just awesome. And the cast is also very good. I was actually really excited to see Jonathan Bailey in this movie. And yes, my girlfriend, now fiance, for those of you guys who are wondering, this year she decided to show me Bridgerton. She's like, let's just watch the first episode. I'm like, okay, let's watch this first episode. I really got into it. I'll be completely honest, I am a Bridgerton fan. I'm looking forward to season 4. But of course, I really like Jonathan Bailey in that show. And I'm like, okay, I'd love to see him in this. And of course, he was great in Wicked. So seeing him here, he was the standout. He was the one character who, you know, I'll get into the characterizations a bit later, but he was the real standout of this movie. And I think the rest of the cast is also well cast too. It's an odd mix. Like when I was talking with one of my friends at work, I'm like, yeah, Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey are essentially the two leads. And she was like, yeah, it's kind of an odd pairing. You would never really think about that. And I don't know necessarily why. I mean, they're both great actors, but they do a great job in the movie. Mahershala Ali, Rupert Friend, Mr. Wickham from Pride and Prejudice, another Regency era costume drama reference for you. All those guys were great, and it was a great mix of chemistry between all of them. And finally, the music. This, I would say, is the best score in any of the Jurassic Park movies since the original. Alexandre Desplat. There are many moments in the score where I was like, I'm watching the original Jurassic Park again. Of course, they use some of the same cues, obviously, but it feels very John Williams whimsical. It feels very exciting. It doesn't feel like the new modern kind of just put some tones on there. Like you can, you know, hear some themes. Like there's 2 moments in the movie, and I won't spoil them per se. There's one moment where they succeed at something, and the characters are hugging and high-fiving, and of course the music really swells up, and I'm like, I'm really into this. This is really great. And of course, every Jurassic Park movie needs to have that look at how beautiful these creatures are. And you have characters who are getting emotional and they're just awe-inspired, and look at how amazing these creatures are. And the music, of course, you know, they play some of the original Jurassic Park theme mixed in with some new elements as well. And I was getting quite, you know, emotional as well, because I'm like, this is just, oh, it's working. It's working. And that's what makes this movie frustrating, is because there's great moments in it and there's a great movie here. In a nutshell, the packaging of this movie and the presentation is superb. However, when it comes to the meat of the movie, the real heart, the emotional weight, it's rough. So let's start off with the big one. This movie falls into the trap of the just tell the audience, don't show them trap. Star Wars prequels, anybody? Basically, there are many scenes of exposition where they just dump it on us. What the mission is, what they're doing, backstory of the dinosaurs and the public's perception of them. So creating the world and the characterization of our heroes. And what sucks is that you know that the movie doesn't care about these characters when their entire backstory can be summed up like this. Here's the formula. Hey, Character A. Do you remember that thing that happened? You know, the thing that the audience didn't get to see? And it happened to that one character that we never get to know and never get to see either? Yes, my name is Character A, and I remember when that happened, and I feel bad about it. Will this come up later on in the movie? No, not at all. And then, of course, the audience is supposed to go, oh no, something bad happened to them, and I feel sorry for them. Therefore, I care about what's going to happen to them in this story. So many big movies have fallen into this trap. And maybe that works for some people. That's all you need. You need one line. Oh, this character lost a character who we don't actually see on a mission that happened years ago, and they're feeling bad about it. Oh no, I really want to see how they redeem themselves. And you know what, to be honest, right? Like, I feel like this wouldn't bother me so much if they were brought up again. Like, okay, we bring up a backstory about a certain character, and then that element of that backstory comes back later on in the movie, but it doesn't really. One of the characters looks at a photo of one of their family members later on in the movie for like a second. Even that scene happened maybe like 20 minutes later, and that's it, right? Like, oh, this character misses their family. Okay, right? It doesn't do anything. And I think the reason why this movie will get away with it to some people is because this movie has charismatic actors in it. If the actors who were playing these characters had no charisma, then we're in deep trouble. Because now you don't have any likability, and you have no charm, no energy, no spunk, no heart to these characters. Jonathan Bailey is the only one who kind of escapes this characterization because I alluded to it before, but he's the scientist with the real big passion about dinosaurs. He's the one who brings up how human beings haven't been around for very long, and we're the ones who think we rule the earth, and we're so much smarter and better than dinosaurs. Not that he's like some anarchist who wants to destroy humanity, but he's the one who really does love these dinosaurs. And of course, there's a couple scenes where he finally gets to see these dinosaurs that he was talking about earlier on in the film, and when he meets them, he gets emotional. And again, that passion is infectious. Again, like I was saying, there's a couple moments where he's talking about dinosaurs and I'm going like, I really feel his love for these creatures. And again, having a good actor really helps. But other than that, on paper, the characters are extremely flat, which gets me into another problem with this movie. We have two big groups of characters in this movie. We have two essential storylines. The one storyline are the scientists and the mercenaries trying to get the blood samples for the dinosaurs. That's where you have Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, Mahershala Ali. But then you have this random family that just happened to get roped into this story when they got attacked by dinosaurs on their sailboat. And to me anyways, they are the most boring part of the movie. You hear writers talk about this all the time. We need a human element in this movie. We can't just have a bunch of scientists and mercenaries. We need to have someone who's a bit more relatable. I don't think you do. It's a Jurassic Park movie. We need to have the human element. We got to have a little kid, right? The little kid wasn't like annoying or anything, and they have a little pet dinosaur. So that's new, I guess, and the dinosaur's pretty cute, so I will give the movie that. But the storyline and the characterization of these family members are just as lazy as you'd expect. Of course, there's the dad, and then the dad has a teenage daughter, and the teenage daughter's rebelling against him by dating some lazy prick, and then of course the lazy prick has to learn about responsibility, and then of course the dad will start, like, just saying this out loud, I feel like I'm talking about a Roland Emmerich film. And if you guys know anything about Roland Emmerich, I would say that his movies have the most basic one-note characters in any big blockbuster. Independence Day, 2012, the list goes on. And what sucks is that the movie doesn't know what storyline to really focus on, so they just go with both, and they keep cutting between the two, and one is way more interesting than the other. And again, neither of them are fantastic. One is a bunch of charismatic actors doing something that's kind of interesting and different, but then we have just your generic family. Oh my gosh, dinosaurs are coming. Honestly, when we were with this family, it was a big slog. You know, it was tough. I was checking my watch quite often, and I was like, this is just, you really feel its runtime. You really feel its pacing issues. Or better yet, let's put it into a tier. Dinosaurs, awesome, really entertaining. We follow the mercenaries and the scientists, mostly entertaining. The family, I'm checking out. Then there are just some random nitpicks that I have that generally don't bother me in movies. I can generally look past these kinds of issues, but when the movie is a slog and it's getting in its own way, where it's like, oh, I like what's happening over here, but why are we focusing on these characters over here? It gets frustrating. Then more problems start to appear. And those ones are too many coincidences and product placement. And now that I'm talking to you guys and thinking about it, there's a tacked on message about the pharmaceutical industry and how that industry is corrupt and how medicine should be free to the entire world. Sure, right? You can explore that, but they just kind of like wrote it in at the last minute. I guess. So that was a bit weird, but generally speaking, you know, oh, this is a coincidence. Oh, that would never happen. I can generally look past that kind of stuff because it's a movie, right? Like, it's a movie about dinosaurs, so whatever. But even I was asking myself, so you're telling me that a T-Rex can do this, but not this? Oh, you're telling me that the characters would just magically show up at this time? Oh, so you're telling me that this character knows that? As soon as you start asking yourself those questions, you're in really dangerous territory. Now, again, I don't normally do that. I know people who will actually go into movies wanting to do that, like that's their enjoyment out of movies. I can never get into that mode, but again, when the movie has just like a core foundational problem about the characterization, the exposition, you know, focusing on the wrong things, then those issues start to be a lot more prevalent, which is unfortunate. So I'm not going to get into detail about every single time that happened because whatever, but you'll know these instances when you see them. So all in all, this is like the Spider-Man 3 of the Jurassic Park franchise for me, where parts of it are just fantastic. The presentation of the entire movie is wonderful. It's a great cast too. The score is phenomenal. The action sequences are thrilling. The characters though, and like the heart of the movie, there really isn't one. These characters don't have much depth to them, and only half of them, I would say, have, you know, charisma and some personality. So this is where it gets tough. Do you say that, you know, it's just okay? Or do you look at the entire experience and you go, you know what? Overall, when watching the movie, I had more good times than bad. I think I'm just more frustrated than anything because, like I said, this falls into the it could have been so good pile, which makes it more disappointing than bad. So I'm gonna give this movie a 3 out of 5. I would say it's much better than the last two Jurassic Worlds. I don't know if it's better than the first Jurassic World movie. I'm gonna say no, but I did like it more than The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3. What happened in Jurassic Park 3? That is one of the most forgettable movies I've ever seen. Genuinely, if you put a gun to my head and said, what's the plot of Jurassic Park 3? I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you. So those are my thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth. I think if you are just a die-hard Jurassic Park fan, you'll enjoy this movie. And, you know, if you're just like a lighthearted fan who doesn't really care about, you know, deep characterization or plot structure and you just kind of want to see some dinosaurs and, you know, have some like light fun, maybe on like a cheap Tuesday, I would say that, you know, you can go see this movie because again, it's presented very well. It looks amazing. The dino action is great. Some characters, you know, they have charisma. The music is great. Again, it's the fluff is there. But even if you wanted to go just full fluff mode, full popcorn mode, full turn your brain off mode, then you really needed to focus on these characters over here and just kind of ditch the family, because that's where it gets, you know, more humanized, and it just, nah. Just forget about those. So there you go, guys. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours down in the comment section down below. I also want to shout out my Patreon members. The link to that is down below if you want to support the channel. And we also have watch-alongs every single month. There's 2 of them. We do monthly giveaways. It's a fun time. If you really want to join a fun community, link is down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.